The illusion of health is one of the most dangerous cages for the mind. We are feeding our beloved elders promises on a box while their vitality slowly drains away. What if the labels we trust are the very source of this slow decline? Stay with me on this path, because the final understanding we will reach together is the one that can truly set them and us free. Surface appearances. We live in a world that is loud, a world that is constantly shouting for our attention. It shouts from screens, from billboards, and perhaps most deceptively, it whispers to us from the packages of the food we consume. These packages are adorned with promises, with symbols of hearts and stamps of approval. They speak of low fat, of being good for you, of providing a quick and easy path to wellness. And because we care so deeply for our parents, our grandparents, for the elders who have guided us, we accept these promises. We place these items in our carts, believing we are offering them a gift of health, a token of our love and concern. But a deep and unsettling question must arise. Are we seeing the truth, or are we only seeing the surface? The training of the mind, much like the nourishment of the body, is not about finding the most beautifully decorated path. It is about finding the one with the most substance, the one that leads to true strength and clarity. A label is merely a thought, an idea presented by an external source. It does not reflect the essence of what is inside. Imagine a beautifully painted wooden fruit. It looks nourishing. It might feel substantial in your hand, but if you try to bite into it, you will find no juice, no sweetness, no life. You will only find resistance, emptiness, and perhaps a splinter. We are, in many ways, feeding our elders these painted fruits. We are captivated by the surface appearance and have forgotten how to feel for the inner substance. This distraction is the first and most subtle poison. It is not a chemical, but a poison for the awareness. It trains us to outsource our intuition, to place our trust in a slogan rather than in the quiet wisdom of our own bodies. An elder's body, after a long life, is like a very wise and sensitive instrument. It knows, it feels, it responds, but its signals, its music, have been drowned out by the noise of marketing, the shouting of convenience. The body might be communicating a feeling of lethargy after a certain meal, a subtle inflammation, a fogginess of the mind, but the label on the box says, heart healthy, and so we override that inner communication. We learn to distrust ourselves. And so we must begin by cultivating a healthy skepticism, not a cynicism, but a gentle questioning. We must look at the vibrant colors and bold claims on a package and ask, what is this distracting me from? What truth is this beautiful surface designed to obscure? The path to reclaiming the health of our elders and our own does not begin in a supermarket aisle by choosing a different box. It begins within our own minds, by choosing to look past the box entirely. It begins by peeling back the label, not with our fingernails, but with our awareness, to see what lies beneath the surface appearance. Only then can we start to discern the true nature of what we are putting into our bodies and the bodies of those we love. This journey requires a stillness that our modern pace of life discourages. We are taught to be efficient, to make quick decisions. But wisdom is never born from speed. It is born from observation. It requires us to slow down, to hold the food in our hands, to consider its origins not just from the factory but from the earth. When we do this, the label becomes less important, the noise begins to fade, and in that quiet space, we can begin to hear the much older, much more reliable voice of our own intuition, the very compass we need to navigate this confusing world. This is the first step to turn away from the shouting and to begin once again to listen. Sweetened emptiness. One of the most pervasive stories we have been told is the story of fat being the enemy of the heart. This story has shaped generations of eating habits. In response, we filled our kitchens with products stripped of their natural fats. And to make these products palatable, to make them desirable, something else was added in its place, a silent, sweet poison. We see it in the low-fat fruit yogurts, gleaming in their plastic pots, filled not with the vitality of real fruit, but with sugary purees and syrups. We find it in the breakfast cereals, the ones with pictures of sunrises and smiling families. which are often little more than refined grains coated in layers of sugar, sold to us as the ideal start to the day. This replacement is a profound deception. We thought we were removing a danger, but we invited a far more insidious one into our homes. Refined sugar, especially in the vast quantities it is now consumed, creates a storm within the body. It triggers a cycle of sharp energy spikes and deep crashes, leaving one feeling fatigued and craving more of the very substance that is causing the imbalance. For an older body, a system that thrives on stability and harmony, this internal roller coaster is deeply depleting. It is like trying to find rest in a house where the lights are constantly being flickered on and off. There is no peace, no chance for the body to find its equilibrium. It is a state of constant low-level stress. Think of the body's energy, its chi, as a clear, steadily flowing river. This is the state of vitality. Refined sugar is like dumping barrels of mud and rocks into that river. The flow becomes chaotic. It becomes turbulent. It creates inflammation, a state of internal fire that is now understood to be at the root of so many of the chronic ailments that we associate with aging. We were told we were protecting the heart, but we are creating the very conditions of internal chaos in which heart disease can flourish. We offer our grandmother a glass of apple juice, believing it to be a pure and wholesome gift from nature, without realizing it can contain as much, if not more, accessible sugar than a can of soda, stripped of the fiber that would have slowed its absorption. This is the nature of sweetened emptiness. The food has been hollowed out. Its original life force, its wholeness, has been removed, and the void has been filled with a sweet taste that provides a moment of pleasure but offers no lasting nourishment. It is an echo of food, and this is particularly dangerous for our elders because their bodies are more sensitive to this emptiness. Their reserves of vitality are more precious. They cannot afford to spend their energy processing foods that offer nothing of substance in return. It is a slow, gradual drain on their life force, a transaction where they are always at a loss. To break this spell, we must learn to see sweetness not as a reward, but as a potent force that demands immense respect. We must seek it out in its natural form, in a whole piece of fruit, where it is balanced by fiber, vitamins, and the complexity of nature. We must re-educate our palates and help our elders re-educate theirs to appreciate the subtle sweetness of a roasted carrot, the gentle flavor of a pear. We must help them rediscover a world of taste that has been overshadowed by the overpowering and addictive nature of refined sugar. It is a return to a more simple, more honest way of eating, where the pleasure is not a fleeting, intense spike, but a deep, resonant satisfaction that truly nourishes the body and calms the spirit. Refined grains. There is a profound comfort associated with bread. It is a staple of civilizations, a symbol of community and sustenance. And in our quest for health, we have been guided towards a specific type, the whole grain bread. The packaging shows us fields of wheat, bathed in golden sunlight. The words promise fiber, nutrients, a rustic and earthy goodness. We choose the brown loaf over the white one, feeling we have made the virtuous choice for ourselves and for the elders in our care. We prepare toast for their breakfast, a sandwich for their lunch, believing we are providing them with the staff of life. But we must pause and ask a critical question. What is the true nature of the grain in our hands? The journey of a grain from the field to a soft, plastic-wrapped loaf of bread in the supermarket is a journey of extreme transformation. It is not a simple process of grinding and baking. It is an industrial process of pulverizing the grain into a fine flour, a powder so fine that our bodies digest it almost as quickly as plain sugar. Even when it is labeled whole wheat, the structure, the very integrity of the grain has been obliterated. The life force has been shattered. The slow release energy that a truly whole, intact grain would provide is lost. What remains is a product that, much like refined sugar, can cause a rapid spike in blood sugar, leading to that same cycle of energy chaos and inflammation. Imagine a strong, ancient tree. This tree is a source of strength. Its roots are deep, its trunk is solid. This is the intact grain. Now imagine that tree is put through a giant machine that grinds it into the finest dust. You can gather that dust and press it back into the shape of a tree, but it will have none of the original's strength, resilience, or life. It is merely a collection of particles, ready to be scattered by the first gust of wind. This is the nature of most modern breads, pastas, and crackers that we are told are good for us. We are consuming the dust of what was once a living thing, and we are wondering why we feel scattered and weak. For our elders, this is especially taxing. Their digestive systems, which have worked for many decades, appreciate gentle, nourishing foods. The onslaught of rapidly digesting refined grains can be a heavy burden. It demands a significant insulin response from the body year after year, meal after meal. This constant demand is like asking an old, trusted worker to sprint over and over again without rest. Eventually, the worker becomes exhausted. The system becomes less responsive. This is how the body's delicate balance of blood sugar is disrupted, paving the way for the very health problems we were trying to avoid by choosing that brown loaf of bread. The antidote is not to declare war on all grains. The antidote is to seek out their wholeness. It is to find grains that are still recognizable as what they are. Steel-cut oats instead of fine oat flour in a packet, quinoa, barley, brown rice that is cooked from its original state. It is about understanding that the structure of the food is as important as its nutritional content. The way the food asks our body to work with it is a critical part of the nourishment. We must look past the color of the bread and the words on the bag and ask how much life, how much wholeness is left in this food. Are we giving our elders a source of steady strength, or are we giving them a fleeting illusion of it, a refined dust that will only weaken their foundations over time? Processed oils, the heart, that powerful center of our being, has been the focus of so much of our dietary concern, and the narrative we have been given is a simple one. Avoid the saturated fats found in butter, lard, and coconut oil, and embrace the modern, liquid vegetable oils. We see them in clear plastic bottles, light and golden, advertised as being polyunsaturated and cholesterol-free. These oils, canola, soybean, corn, safflower, have become the silent foundation of the modern kitchen. We use them to fry, to bake, to dress our salads, believing each drop is a contribution to cardiovascular wellness. We have diligently replaced the fats of our ancestors with these industrial creations. But what if this switch was not a step towards clarity, but a step into a different kind of fog? These oils do not exist in nature in this liquid, bottled form. You cannot squeeze a corn cob or a soybean and have oil pour out. They are the products of an intense industrial process involving high heat, high pressure, and often chemical solvents to extract the oil from the seed. This process is not a gentle one. It is a violent transformation that fundamentally changes the nature of the fats themselves. They become fragile, prone to oxidation, which is a state of rancidity and decay. When we consume these oils, we are introducing an element of instability and inflammation directly into our cells. Think of the cells in our body as the bricks that build the temple. The membrane of each cell, the wall of each brick, is built from the fats we eat. When we consume stable, natural fats, we build strong, resilient cell walls. The temple is solid. It can withstand the tests of time and stress. But when we build our cells from these fragile, processed industrial seed oils, we are building the temple with crumbling, unstable bricks. The structure becomes weak. It becomes porous, vulnerable to damage and decay. This internal cellular weakness is a foundational problem. It is a slow, silent erosion of the body's integrity. We pour these oils over the salads of our elders, thinking we are doing a good thing. We are providing them with greens, with vitamins. But the dressing itself, if made from these processed oils, can introduce a source of inflammation that negates the benefits of the vegetables. We are giving with one hand and taking away with the other. This is a subtle sabotage. We see the healthy greens, but we do not see the invisible damage being caused by the oxidized fats that coat them. We are focused on the cholesterol number on a lab report, a single marker, and we miss the much larger picture of the body's total inflammatory load. Reclaiming a healthy balance requires a return to simplicity and tradition. It means embracing the fats that our great-grandparents would have recognized. Good quality olive oil, cold-pressed and rich in color for gentle use. Butter from grass-fed cows, coconut oil. These are fats that are more stable. They are less processed. They provide the building blocks for a strong and resilient internal structure. We must have the courage to question the last 40 years of dietary advice and to recognize that what is new, industrial, and heavily marketed is not always what is true. For the health of our elders, we must rebuild their temples with strong, time-tested materials, not with the crumbling dust of modern industrial invention. Empty waters. Hydration is life. We know this instinctively. A flowing river is vital, a stagnant pond is not. We encourage our elders to drink, to stay hydrated, as it is essential for cognitive function, energy, and the fundamental processes of the body. But in our modern world, plain water has been deemed boring. It has been replaced by an endless aisle of flavored waters, vitamin drinks, and most deceptively of all, diet sodas. These drinks promise hydration, flavor, and pleasure, all with the magical benefit of 0 calories and 0 sugar. It seems like the perfect solution, all the enjoyment, none of the consequences. This promise, however, is a profound illusion. When the body tastes something sweet, it anticipates the arrival of sugar, of energy. The entire digestive and hormonal system prepares for this event. But when the sweetness comes from an artificial chemical, aspartame, sucralose, acesulfame potassium, and no energy arrives, the body is thrown into a state of confusion. It is like the village watchman ringing the alarm bell, mobilizing all the defenses, only for no enemy to appear. If this happens once, it is a false alarm. If it happens every single day, the watchman and the defenders grow weary. They become unresponsive. The system learns not to trust its own signals. This repeated confusion can disrupt the body's natural ability to regulate appetite and metabolism. The brain's connection to the gut's wisdom is weakened. It no longer knows how to properly respond to real sugar when it does arrive, but the damage runs deeper. We are introducing complex man-made chemicals into the delicate ecosystem of the gut, the microbiome, which is the very root of our immune system and even our mental clarity. We do not yet fully comprehend the long-term consequences of altering this internal garden with substances that did not exist a century ago. We are conducting an uncontrolled experiment on ourselves and on our elders, whose systems may be even more vulnerable to this disruption. These drinks are what can be called empty waters. They have the appearance of hydration, but they are devoid of life-giving properties and are filled with confounding signals and foreign substances. A diet soda is not a neutral act. It is an act of sending a garbled message to the body, a message that weakens the internal lines of communication over time. We may think we are protecting our loved ones from the dangers of sugar, but we are introducing a chemical chaos that may be just as harmful in a more subtle, systemic way. We are trading one obvious problem for a far less understood one. The path back to clarity is breathtakingly simple. Return to real water. Water is the most profound and cleansing substance we can consume. If flavor is desired, it can be added in its natural living form. A slice of lemon, a few crushed mint leaves, a piece of ginger, a slice of cucumber. These are not just flavors, they are additions that bring their own subtle, life-enhancing properties without confusing the body's core systems. We must guide our elders away from the temptation of the chemically sweetened, zero-calorie illusion and back to the honest, clean, and truly life-giving nature of pure water. This is not about deprivation. It is about providing a form of hydration that soothes and clarifies, rather than one that confuses and disrupts. It is an act of profound respect for the body's innate intelligence. Harmful moderation. One of the most comforting and widely accepted pieces of advice in the realm of health is the concept of everything in moderation. It feels balanced, reasonable, and permissive. It allows us to hold on to the foods we enjoy without feeling guilt, under the assumption that a little bit of something harmful will not cause significant damage. And so we might apply this logic to the diets of our elders. A little bit of processed meat, like a slice of ham or a sausage, because it is easy for them to eat. A small bowl of brightly colored, sugary ice cream for a treat. We tell ourselves it is just in moderation, a small joy in their day. But we must dare to challenge this deeply ingrained belief. We must ask, what is the nature of the substance we are being moderate with? If you were to discover a small, slow leak of a toxic gas in your home, would you say, I will only breathe it in moderation? No. You would recognize that even a small, consistent exposure to a poison is still harmful. You would work to remove the source of the poison entirely. Why do we not apply this same clear-sighted logic to the foods we know are fundamentally damaging to the body's harmony? Processed meats, for instance, are often preserved with nitrates and other chemicals that, when consumed, create an inflammatory response within the body. They are not neutral substances. Each time they are eaten, they are a small spark of inflammation, a small contribution to the body's total load of stress. A single spark may seem insignificant, but when that spark is introduced day after day, week after week, those small sparks accumulate. They build into a slow, smoldering fire within the body's tissues. This is the very fire that can contribute to the degradation of our joints, our blood vessels, and our organs. What we call moderation is, in reality, a consistent, low-dose administration of a harmful agent. The same principle applies to many highly processed snack foods and desserts that are empty of nutrients and full of artificial ingredients, trans fats, and refined sugars. We offer them as a treat, a small pleasure. But what is the nature of this pleasure? It is a fleeting sensory experience that leaves a deposit of metabolic stress in its wake. For an elder's body, which is working diligently to maintain balance and to repair itself, these small regular insults require energy to manage. It is a constant diversion of their precious healing resources to clean up the damage from these so-called moderate indulgences. We are asking their bodies to do more work, not less. True health, true harmony, is not found in the careful negotiation with harmful substances. It is found in their removal and replacement with things that are genuinely nourishing. The mindset of moderation is often a crutch that prevents us from making the cleaner, more life-affirming choice. The true treat is not the bowl of ice cream. The true treat is a bowl of vibrant, sweet berries with a dollop of pure cream. The true convenience is not a processed meat stick. It is a simple, nourishing egg. The goal is not to moderate the harm, but to maximize the good. We must shift our perspective from how much of this poison can I get away with to how much vitality can I possibly build. For our elders, this shift in mindset can be the difference between a slow decline and a state of sustained grace and vitality. Listening within. After navigating the confusing world of labels and the misleading promises of modern food, we can arrive at a place of exhaustion. If we cannot trust the packages, if the advice is always changing, then where can we find the truth? The answer is not in another book, another expert, or another documentary. The final and most reliable source of wisdom has been with us and with our elders all along. It resides within the body itself. The greatest skill we can cultivate for lasting health is the art of listening to this inner compass. The body is in a constant state of communication. It speaks to us not in words, but in feelings. It speaks in sensations of energy or fatigue after a meal. It speaks in the quality of our sleep, the clarity or fogginess of our mind, the subtle aches or feelings of ease in our joints. These are not random occurrences. They are direct feedback. They are the body's report on how well it is managing the fuel we have provided. Our task is to quiet the external noise long enough to hear this subtle language. We have been trained to ignore it, to override it with caffeine when we are tired, or to numb it with medication when we feel pain. But this is like silencing the messenger who brings you critical news about your kingdom. For our elders, this inner voice may be quieter, but it is also potentially wiser, honed by decades of experience. Our role is not to dictate a list of good and bad foods to them, but to become students with them in this practice of inner listening. The process can be very simple. We can start by paying attention. After a meal, instead of immediately turning on the television or rushing to the next activity, we can encourage a few moments of quiet. We can ask a gentle question, either silently to ourselves or in conversation. How does my body feel right now? Do I feel lighter or heavier? Is my mind clear or cloudy? Do I feel a sense of calm energy or a nervous buzz? There are no right or wrong answers. It is simply about gathering information, collecting data from the truest source. Perhaps it is noticed that after a breakfast of toast and jam, a feeling of lethargy sets in an hour later. Perhaps after a meal of a simple soup with vegetables and chicken, there is a feeling of sustained warmth and gentle energy. This is not scientific proof, but it is a powerful form of personal evidence. It is the beginning of a conversation. By stringing these observations together over time, a pattern begins to emerge. The body itself will reveal which foods are building it up and which are tearing it down. This practice empowers us and our elders. It moves them from being passive recipients of dietary rules to being active participants in their own well-being. It restores their autonomy and honors the intelligence of their own bodies. The label on the box becomes irrelevant because a new, more reliable authority has been established, their own direct felt experience. This is the ultimate freedom from the confusion of the modern food world. It is the ability to walk into any situation and, with quiet confidence, make a choice that is based not on a fleeting trend or a clever marketing campaign, but on the profound, unshakable wisdom that comes from listening within. Returning home. As we journey through this landscape of confusion, dispelling the myths of misleading labels and industrial foods, we may find ourselves asking a simple question: what then is left to eat? If so many of the modern staples are sources of imbalance, where do we turn? The answer is not a complex formula or a new exotic superfood. The answer is a returning home to a way of eating that is defined by its simplicity, its wholeness, and its connection to the living world. True nourishment for the heart, in every sense of the word, is found here. This returning home means choosing foods that are as close as possible to their original, natural state. An apple instead of apple juice, a handful of nuts instead of a protein bar engineered in a lab, a piece of fish instead of a breaded fish stick. It is about choosing foods that are recognizable, foods that our great-grandparents would have understood. This food carries an inherent vitality, a life force that has not been stripped away by processing. It provides the body with clean information, a clear signal that it knows how to interpret, digest, and utilize for healing and strength. There is an elegance and intelligence in this simplicity. Returning home also means reintroducing the element of human intention into our food. In our rush for convenience, we have forgotten that the energy with which food is prepared becomes part of the meal itself. Preparing a simple meal for an elder with an attitude of love and care is a form of medicine. The act of chopping vegetables, of simmering a soup, of sitting together to share this food, this infuses the meal with a nourishment that cannot be measured in vitamins or minerals. It nourishes the spirit. It strengthens the bonds of connection. This human element is a powerful antidote to the sterile, impersonal nature of packaged, processed foods. Ultimately, we come to understand that the 9 foods we began with are not 9 specific items, but 9 manifestations of a single, deeper problem, a disconnection from nature, from our bodies, and from common sense. The true poison is the mindset of the quick fix, the belief that health can be found in a package, and the outsourcing of our own intuition to corporate slogans. We were told these foods were good for the heart, and in a way, the journey to unlearn this lie brings us to the real work of the heart. The real work is about cultivating awareness, paying attention, and acting from a place of genuine care and wisdom. This is the most powerful insight we can arrive at. The health of our elders and our own is not a battle to be won by fighting against specific foods. It is a state of grace to be cultivated through a gentle and consistent returning. A returning to whole foods, to simple preparation, and most importantly, to the quiet, infallible wisdom that resides within our own being. It is about understanding that the most profound nourishment comes not from a complex diet, but from a simple act of love. For years, I've been buying all the heart-healthy, low-fat yogurts and whole wheat breads for my parents, thinking I was doing the right thing. This video just hit me like a lightning bolt of clarity. It's not about anger at being misled, it's this profound sadness and a new sense of responsibility. I just went into their kitchen and looked at the pantry with completely new eyes. Thank you. The shift starts today.